Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to the Battle of Middle Boggy, Bang and Dang, and we are starting 1864.
You heard him. Starting the year off 1864 in Battles of the Makers of the War with Bang and Dang. And 5 battles we're starting this one out because each of these battles are little pishy-washies. I don't even know if that's the word. But we got Longstreet added again for, I think, 3 of these battles. And then we got some Indian Territory. We head back there. We haven't been there in a while. And then we have a little Army of the Potomac. It's not even a battle. They tried doing some things, and Lee said, nah. But let's start 1864 off right. Everybody's in their winter quarters, so we'll see what the springtime brings. With that, before we get started, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. You'll see clips, shorts, full episodes, exclusive Dart League, and others. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, give us a review as we get into this 5-battle episode. Haven't had a 5-battle episode in quite some time, and it's still going to be a short one because, like I said, they're not very big. But we got starting off, which I'm sure there was other battles before this one, but this is not a recognized, or they're not recognized by the old Battlefield Association people and others. But Battle of Dandridge took place January 17th, 1864 as a continuation. Not a continuation, but we saw this set up on the last episode, which was the last battle of 1863. Jefferson County, Tennessee, wanting to push the Confederates out of their winter headquarters and having received reports of good forage south of the French Broad River. That old French Broad. Union forces under Major General John G. Parke advanced on Dandridge near the East Tennessee and Virginia Railroad on January 14th with orders to cross the river and occupy the area for the Federals.
All right. Look at that shit. Movement force. Old Rebs Lieutenant General James Longstreet, who had been operating around Dandridge, they forced them to fall back beyond Kimbrough's crossroads. Longstreet brought up reinforcements from Morristown on the 15th of January to meet the Federals and threaten the Union base at New Market. 16th January, 1864. Brigadier General Samuel D. Sturgis from the old Unions, commanding the Cavalry Corps of the Army of the Ohio. They rode forward from Dandridge along the Morristown Road, which is now the Valley Home Road, which is on State Highway 66 there in Tennessee. They did that to occupy Kimbrough's crossroads.
All right. Well, as the Union cavalry neared the crossroads, they discovered and engaged one of Longstreet's infantry brigades with artillery that had arrived the day before. The brigade was composed of Alabama troops as well as others, and was under the command of Brigadier General Micah Jenkins, a South Carolinian.
Cool.
At the same time, Union cavalry under the command of Colonel Frank Wolford engaged Confederate forces south and east of Dandridge on the bend of Chucky Road. The Union cavalry could not dislodge the Confederate troops and were compelled to retire to Dandridge.
Oh. I mean, what are you going to do? Around noon on the 17th of January, Sturgis received information that the old Rebs were preparing for an attack. So he formed his men into lines of battle. About 4 p.m., the old Rebs advanced towards Dandridge, and the battle quickly turned into a general fighting. The battle continued until dark, with the Union forces occupying roughly the same battle line as when the fight started.
So a bunch of nothing, killing guys for no reason.
Right. Having failed to cross the river to the opposite bank and fearing that Longstreet's entire force was in front of them, General Parke ordered the Federals to retreat to New Market and Strawberry Plains during the very night. The old Rebs pursued, but due to the lack of cannons, ammo, and shoes, they broke off and fell back to Dandridge. For the time being, Union forces left the area. So that was a bunch of nothing.
And that was right. Well, they wanted the space for foraging because they're getting...
Waste of ammo.
They're getting a little desperate, are the Union.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the Battle of Athens, which is in Alabama, Athens, Alabama, Limestone County, January 26th.
Limestone County.
January 26th. Union force was a company under Captain Emil Adams from the 9th Illinois Mounted Infantry Regiment. The Confederate force was the 1st Alabama Cavalry under Lieutenant Colonel Moses H. Hannon. On the morning of January 26th, around 4 a.m., 700 cavalrymen attacked Athens, which was being held by a Union force of only 150.
Wow.
Even though the Union defenders had no fortifications and were outnumbered 6-1, they were able to repulse the Confederate attack and force them into a retreat after a 2-hour battle.
Cavalrymen from the old Rebs getting repulsed?
Right. Well, I mean, it's Moses Hannon.
Right.
And that's the Battle of Athens.
Didn't work out for the old Rebs on that one, did it? Moving on, Battle of Fair Garden. It was a minor cavalry battle between the Army of Ohio and the Department of East Tennessee, occurring on the 27th of January in 1864 in Sevier County, Tennessee. Following the Battle of Dandridge on the 16th and 17th of January, Union cavalry moved to the south side of the French Broad River, where they disrupted the old Rebs' foraging parties and captured numerous loaded supply wagons in that area.
They needed them.
Mm-hmm. 25th of January, Lieutenant Longstreet, General. Lieutenant General Longstreet, he commander of the Department of the East Tennessee.
He commander.
He instructed his subordinates to curtail Union operations south of the French Broad.
Everybody wants to go south of the French Broad.
Right.
January 26th, Brigadier General Samuel D. Sturgis, having had previous brushes with Confederate cavalry, deployed his troopers to watch the fords in the area. 2 Confederate cavalry brigades and artillery advanced from Fair Garden in the afternoon, but were checked about 4 miles from Sevierville.
Oh, no.
Other Confederates attacked a Union cavalry brigade, though at Fowler's on Flat Creek, and drove it about 2 miles.
Okay.
No further fighting occurred that day.
Oh, look at that. That's fantastic.
Right.
Union scouts observed that the old Rebs had concentrated on the Fair Garden Road, so Sturgis ordered an attack there in the morning of 27th of January. In a heavy fog, Colonel Edward McCook's Union Division.
The old fighting McCooks.
Yeah, that's true. They attacked and drove back Major General William Martin's Confederates. About 4 p.m., McCook's men charged with sabers and routed the old Rebs. Sturgis set out in pursuit the very next day, capturing and killing more of the routed and disorganized rebels. As the Union force reached the French Broad River near Dandridge, they saw 3 of Longstreet's infantry brigades crossing that very same river. Realizing that he was outgunned, Sturgis prudently decided to evacuate the area. He's like, whoa.
It ain't the time for that. Well, he then tried to attack Brigadier General Frank C. Armstrong's Confederate Cavalry Division, encamped about 3 or 4 miles away by the river. Unaware that Armstrong had been reinforced, Sturgis suffered severe casualties in that assault. The battle continued until dark when the Federals retired from the area. The Federals had initially won the tactical battle, but then lost the foraging grounds when forced to withdraw.
Oh.
That's the whole reason they were there.
Right.
There were about 100 Union casualties, and the Confederates lost about 165.
Damn. Mm-hmm. Well, less mouths to feed, I guess.
Hey, look at the positives.
Right. Well, that was the Battle of, what was it?
The whole Battle of Fair Garden.
Fair Garden, huh?
This is going to be like the shortest episode in history.
Wow, moving on. Battle of Morton's Ford. February 6th and 7th, that battle was fought, 1864. Union Major General Benjamin Butler, commanding the Army of James in Fort Monroe, he learned that General Robert E. Lee had detached a small portion of the Army of North Virginia to North Carolina. Convinced that Lee had sent a larger detachment than he actually did, Butler was convinced that an attack by the Army of Potomac would force Lee to use troops from the defenses of Richmond to ward off the attack. He's like, all right.
Well, Major General John Sedgwick, temporarily commanding the Army of the Potomac, protested that Lee had detached fewer men than Butler thought, and that the local roads and weather were too poor for a winter attack.
Right.
However, both Secretary of War Edwin Stanton and General-in-Chief Henry Halleck overruled his objections, and he ordered him to make the attack on February 6th.
Uh-oh.
The demonstration would take place near Morton's Ford, near a bend in the Rapidan River, which formed a mile-wide patch of land.
Oh,
nice.
Good little battlefield there. Major General Edward Johnson's division of the Richard Ewell's 2nd Corps had dug a series of entrenchments across the base of the bend. The Union 2nd Corps, temporarily under the command of John Caldwell.
What's up with the Union being, I guess, like, the major guys are, I'm taking the winter off, guys.
Right. Temporarily under the command of John Caldwell was the 2nd Corps. Due to illness of Governor Warren, he would move to Morton's Ford, with the 1st Corps marching the nearby Raccoon Ford to the west, and then cavalry crossing at Robertson's Ford.
All right, well,
to the east.
Right. The 2nd Corps reached the ford about 9:30 a.m., finding a line of pickets along the bank. 3rd Division Commander Brigadier General Alexander Hayes ordered 300 men of Brigadier General Joshua Owens' 1st Brigade across the river to drive off the pickets. This was done successfully, resulted in the capture of 30 members of the Stonewall Brigade without any Union losses. The old Stonewall Brigade just ain't been the same.
No.
The rest of Owens' brigade crossed the river, but then encountered heavy artillery fire.
Fantastic. Johnson brought up 1 brigade and parts of 2 others, along with additional artillery. 12:30 p.m., Hayes received permission from Caldwell to bring the rest of his division across the ford, which took 2 hours to do, while Caldwell positioned Union artillery on the heights north of the river. During this time, Johnson from the Rebs continued to receive reinforcements. Warren heard of the heavy fighting at Morton's Ford at about midday and immediately started riding to the front. By 3 p.m., he arrived at the ford. Deciding that the Union position was too precarious to be held, he ordered Hayes' division to withdraw after nightfall.
After nightfall.
You're going to get your ass out, Dodge.
However, though, Johnson had other plans. He launched an infantry attack just as dusk was starting. Hayes' right flank began to falter, and a counterattack by 3 regiments succeeded in holding back the Feds. Arrettes. At this time, Alexander S. Webb's division arrived to support Hayes until it was decided to withdraw both divisions starting about 8 p.m. Both divisions were back across the Rapidan by 2 a.m., with the Confederates reoccupying their entrenchments immediately afterwards. Union casualties totaled 262, while the Confederates lost 60.
Ooh. Wow, well, that's lopsided. Due to a Union disorder who revealed the Union plans to the Rebs, Butler never made that attack on Richmond, while Lee never requested reinforcements from the city. The First Corps also failed to cross the river, never getting closer than a mile and a half from Raccoon Ford. After that very battle, Hayes was accused of being drunk during that battle and of acting irrationally. You drunk bastard, what the hell you thinking? You could have got everybody killed. However, many officers, including several in his division, attested that Hayes was sober throughout the engagement. Of course they'll say that, right? They're all drunk too. All the accusations
normal to me.
Right. All the accusations about Hayes being drunk at Morton's Ford came from the 14th Connecticut, which suffered nearly half of the Union casualties in the battle, and may have felt resentment against Hayes because of it. No,
yeah, well, maybe
that they died because he was a drunk bastard.
Right. They're like, screw this guy, drunken asshole. Just got half our guys killed.
Right.
So which brings us to the last battle of the day, which is the longest battle of the day in terms of content here. The Battle of Middle Boggy, also known as the Battle of Middle Boggy River or the Battle of Middle Boggy Depot. Say that 5 times fast. Battle of Battle of Middle Boggy Depot. It took place February 13th, 1864 in Choctaw Indian Territory, 4 miles south of what is now Allen in Pontotoc County, Oklahoma.
Oh, we're in Oklahoma.
Right. Union Colonel William A. Phillips led an expedition. Expedition consisting of about 1,500 soldiers to divide the Confederate forces in Indian Territory along a line from Fort Gibson to the Red River rivalry. The force represented 3 companies of the 14th Kansas Cavalry, a battalion of Kansas Infantry, and 2 regiments of the Indian Home Guard, supported by howitzers from the 3rd Regiment of that said Indian Home Guard.
Okay.
Expedition had 4 objectives. Number 1, establish Union control over the Indian Territory. Number 2, offer amnesty to the Creek, Seminole, and Chickasaw Indians provided in President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, and sever Confederate treaties with the tribes, which said to sever Confederate treaties with the tribes. And then number 4, gain new recruits.
Fantastic. Look at that. You gotta get those. Colonel Phillips from the old Bluecoats issued the following message to his troops before they departed from Fort Gibson to begin the expedition. This was at the circular headquarters, 1st Brigade, Army of the Frontier, Fort Gibson. CN? What the fuck is that?
Either Choctaw Nation or something.
Right. This is January 30th, 1864. And it says, Soldiers, I take you with me to clean out the Indian nation south of the river and drive away and destroy the rebels. Let me say a few words to you that you are not to forget. Do not begin firing in battle until you are ordered. When you do fire, aim low about the knee or at the lower part of the man's body. That's if you're on horseback. Never fire in the air. Fire slowly.
No. I think he's saying the man's body if they're on horseback. That way you're not firing over them.
Right. He says, fire slowly. Never until you see something to shout at that you may hit. Do not waste your ammunition. Do not straggle or go away from the command. It is cowards only that leave their comrades in the face of the enemy. Nearly all the men we get killed are stragglers. Keep with me close and obey orders, and we will soon have peace. Those who are still in arms are rebels who ought to die. Do not kill a prisoner after he has surrendered. But I do not ask you to take prisoners. I ask you to make your footsteps severe and terrible. Muskogees, the time has come now when you are to remember the authors of all your sufferings. Those who started a needless and wicked war, who drove you from your homes, who robbed you of your property. Stand by me faithfully, and we will soon have peace. Watch over each other to keep each other right, and be ready to strike a terrible blow on those who murdered your wives and little ones by the Red Fork, along the Verdigris or by Dave Farm cowpens. Do not be afraid. We have always beaten them. We will surely win. May God go with us. WMA Phillips, Colonel Commanding.
He could have just said that in front of him.
All right.
Oh, wait. They did. He did. I thought it was like a letter or something. Hey, it is.
Yeah, it's a letter.
That's stupid. You're right there in front of him.
Right.
He's like, he just hands it. Just read this, all right. Oh, geez. Phillips's expedition left Fort Gibson February 1st, 1864, and moved southwest along the Dragoon Trail toward Fort Washita. This trail, also called the Texas Cattle Trail, roughly paralleled the more heavily used Texas Road. Phillips chose this route because guerrilla warfare had decimated the area along the Texas Road, and Phillips believed that there would be better forage along the Dragoon route. He stopped on February 4th to wait the arrival of the remaining 9 companies of the 14th Kansas Cavalry. February 11th, though, he paused near Edwards Post south of the Canadian River and waited the arrival of reinforcements from Fort Smith. When the reinforcements failed to arrive, he decided to proceed to the Middle Boggy, a tributary of the Red River. He's like, I think we're on our own.
Yep. The old Rebs outpost was very near the point where the Dragoon Road crossed the Middle Boggy. Major Willett's advanced group camped a short distance away on the night of the 12th of February, made final preparations to attack that very night. Willett's group began the skirmish with an artillery barrage at 7 a.m. the following morning. 14th Kansas Cavalry immediately charged, throwing the old Rebs into confusion.
Some of the surviving members of Captain Nail of the Rebels Command retreated to Boggy Depot, abandoning the wounded on the battlefield. Oh, pussies. The rest of the Chickasaw Battalion remained near Cochrane to escort Chickasaw Governor Winchester Colbert's family from Pontotoc to Tishomingo. General Douglas H. Cooper, who had returned that night to his headquarters at Boggy Depot from Fort Washita, had sent a request to Texas for more reinforcements. A Confederate burial detail sent to the battlefield found all the abandoned wounded had been killed with their throats cut.
Oh, shit.
Colonel Phillips reported that his soldiers had killed 48 Confederate soldiers and had taken no prisoners.
Oh, wow.
Brigadier General Cooper reported that only 11 Confederate soldiers were killed. You're not supposed to do that.
It's war crimes, man.
You're not supposed to do that. What a bitch.
Right. Colonel Phillips, he camped at a site called Camp Kansas on the night after the battle. By now, he knew that the remainder of the 14th Cavalry would not be coming to his assistance. The next day, Phillips divided his command into 2 groups. He sent the cavalry soldiers south under Major Willets in pursuit of the fleeing Rebs and seeking Governor Colbert.
They want the governor.
He ordered Colonel Waddles to take command of the infantry and proceed to Old Fort Holmes.
All right, February 15th, Phillips ordered his troops to burn Pontotoc Courthouse and all the Confederate and Chickasaw buildings in the town of Cochrane.
Wow.
He also ordered the destruction of Colbert Institute, a pre-war Chickasaw school that had been used to house Confederate troops.
Okay.
The battle was a defeat for the Confederates. However, the mistreatments of civilians and killings of wounded soldiers by the Union troops strengthened the resolve of Confederates and their sympathizers to continue the fight.
Right.
Yeah, you did the opposite of what you planned to do there, Phillips, idiot.
The Atoka County Historical Society, they celebrate the Battle of Middle Boggy with a reenactment every 3rd year. A cemetery, now called the Confederate Cemetery near Atoka, was established along the Butterfield Stage Road before the Civil War. Local residents believed that the people buried here were all soldiers who had died during the Battle of Middle Boggy. However, forensic research in 1988 enabled site manager Gwen Walker to positively identify some of the victims as soldiers of the 19th Arkansas Infantry. Walker discovered that these men had been sent to construct earthworks at Fort McCullough in 1862 and that they had died of an epidemic of measles.
All right. 1959, the Oklahoma Historical Society erected a marker at a small cemetery about 1 mile north of Atoka, Oklahoma.
Okay.
The marker was replaced with a new and different marker in 2014. It now reads, Middle Boggy Battle. On this site lie Confederate soldiers who died in battle February 13th, 1864.
Okay.
It says the Confederate encampment here at Middle or Muddy Boggy Crossing on the Boggy Depot Road, held by Lieutenant Colonel John Jumper, Seminole Battalion, Captain Adam Nails, Company A of 1st Choctaw and Chickasaw Cavalry, and a detachment of the 20th Texas Regiment was suddenly attacked by Federal forces. 3 companies of the 14th Kansas Cavalry, Major Charles Willits in command, and a section of howitzers under Captain Solomon Kaufman. Didn't even hear him in the battle, I know.
No.
The Confederates, though poorly armed, made a firm stand in a hot fight of 30 minutes, in which 47 of their men were killed and others wounded. Word of Confederate forces riding in from Boggy Depot, 12 miles southwest, caused a hurried retreat of the Federal troops toward Fort Gibson north. The dead were buried 1 mile north of Atoka, Oklahoma, on the west side of Boggy River, and 100 yards north of Highway 69. That's it. The cemetery was also a burial ground for travelers on the old Boggy Depot Road before the Civil War.
Oh, shit. Oh, that might be interesting.
Okay, yeah, let's go all the way to Atoka, Oklahoma to see a stupid marker.
I'm sure the cemetery's still there.
We could just read it online. I traveled all this way to see shitty bricks.
Yeah, what does the town look like? But it looked like a nice little town. Captain Atoka.
How fitting. It was Phillips 66 was the fuel name, and the Phillips was the guy in the battle. That's going to do for us in the American Civil War. Battles of them, that is.
Right.
Gold, that is. Oil, that is. Whatever. Short but sweet episode with 5 to take in. Breathe it in, man, because next week we got the Battle of Meridian in Mississippi.
Ooh.
Which is not that great. Then we got the Battle of Olustee in Florida.
Hey.
The B battle. Not that great.
Decent.
And then probably have the Battle of Okolona, also in Mississippi, which is not that great. Which will probably also have the First Battle of Dalton.
Dalton.
First Battle of Dalton in Georgia, which is not even that great. Oh my, we probably will have also the Battle of Walkerton in Virginia. Oh my gosh, dude. And we're going to have another 5 battles. Who knows, maybe we'll have the Battle of Fort de Russy as well.
I'll be on a little run with the old Rebs, though.
Battle of Laredo? Oh my, dude. Every single one of these, one paragraph. I'm sorry, guys, these are going to be not that great over the next 2 or 3 episodes, because
Right.
from here and the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
That one was decent.
12, like 14 or 15. They're all nothing, man. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do, though? But we took a pledge. Gotta do what we gotta do. But, yeah, we're back then. But in the meantime, you can go check out our other podcasts if you're interested for more interesting stuff. Right now, we're on the Mafia / more true crime stuff over on Outlaws and Gunslingers. We do a Mafia episode once a month, and then the other 3 weeks are a true crime situation, where this week's episode was all about the Hi-Fi murders.
Ooh.
The week that if you're listening to this when it came out, and then next week's episode is going to be about Jodi Arias, which pretty popular case back in 2014-15 when it actually went to trial, killing her boyfriend in the shower and then shooting him in the head afterwards after he was already dead after 27. Yeah,
oh my,
crazy chick that was, and then we'll continue with the first of the November with the Gambino crime families. That's what's coming up on the battle. I mean,
you guys know what
Outlaws
that
and
means.
Gunslingers.
You know what that means.
What a perfect time, because that
Famous
documentary
and all.
just came out on Netflix called Get Gotti, 3-parter. Actually, watched it. Pretty good stuff. So, yeah. You can check that out all on the Bang Dang Network, wherever you get your podcasts, or on our YouTube channel at Bang Dang Network. Give us a subscription, give us a review, give us a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff that you have to do, you know.
I was going to watch a zombie movie last night called Witness Infection.
Oh, no.
It was a mobster that got bit by a zombie.
Oh, jeez.
and he was in witness protection.
Doesn't even make sense.
Right. I think I had a couple of the regular mobster guys in it, though.
Anyways, we'll see you next week for probably 5 more battles in this Year of 1864 starting off slow with not too much content, but we cover them all. We're the battles of Nickers.
Bang, bang.
Yeah.